Welcome back to another week in the Sun Belt Conference. Andrew Zimmel, Scott, you're with me too. Very busy week in the Sun Belt Conference. Very exciting week in the Sun Belt Conference. I don't know where we want to start. I think we need to start with Georgia Southern and Georgia State and then work our way to Troy and Coastal at the end of this, like our week in review segment. Because those are your two teams. One of them came out really big. The other one came out kind of small. But we had a rivalry game this week, and I want to start with that one, Scott.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Makes perfect sense, especially since Georgia Southern had some stuff go down over the week before the biggest game of the freaking year. And they lost 4 players, 3 starters. They are all suspended. This is really big news. Running back Wesley Kennedy, he's gone. Definitely one of the most talented guys in the Sun Belt. I mean, you were watching and you remember the punt return touchdown he had, I think against it may have been against Coastal. I don't know who it was against, but it was very good. He's a very good running back, and it's a tough loss for Georgia Southern because they're already without J.D. King, who was the leading Sun Belt rusher when he went down with an injury. So now they're down 2 great running backs. And then on the other side of the ball, they lost C.J. Wright, who's a big cog on their defensive line. And it's a very strong defensive line, very good front seven. And then they lost somebody in the secondary for good measure, Ephraim Kitchen. So not good, really hurts their depth, and that seems to be what happened on Saturday because they gave up 17 points in the fourth quarter. I think this is a recurring theme in our podcast. What happens in the fourth quarter of these games?
So, yeah, you're right. The fourth quarter is really big in these games, Scott, and I want to bring this up because it's a rivalry game. On Twitter, you're going to see the fans go back and forth between the Eagles and the Panther fans. Is this an excuse? Can I say if I'm a Georgia Southern fan, hey, any other year we would have won. We're 6-4. We're 4-3 in the conference. We have a better conference record. We were the better team, but law enforcement just got in the way. They were a speed bump to us beating Georgia State. You lose by 6. I think they covered. Do you say as a Southern fan, hey, this is just an excuse? Like we're good this year? Or is it worse than that?
It's not an excuse. I'm pretty in touch with Georgia Southern fans. They love me on Twitter. I think the majority of my followers are actually Georgia Southern fans. So, no, I can tell you right now, it's certainly not an excuse. The thing that they're most upset about is really the offense, and they've been upset about the offense all year long before J.D. King even got hurt. So this is just another, nail in that coffin to the offensive coordinator's woes. It's not been a good year for them. Bob DeBest, he runs that unit. It's not been fun, and the fans are not very happy about how it's going. They want change. They've done kind of well this year to, have such a harsh reaction from the fans this season. But it is what it is. And surprisingly enough, Georgia State leads this series now, 4-3.
That's incredible to me because I would say, for the most part, for me watching these games, I would say Georgia Southern was the better team all year. And I think they've been the better team since coming into the Sun Belt Conference. Am I wrong?
Oh, yeah, no doubt. And Georgia Southern, on top of that, has the decades-long history of being a strong FCS team as well. Georgia State just doesn't have that at all.
So, yeah, all right, let's move on to a prove-it game. Louisiana does not get ranked. A lot of us around the conference were kind of surprised by that, and we thought that I thought ULM was going to find a way to get out of this game because the rage was coming. Lafayette was not going to take their foot off the pedal against ULM. They were going to try to put as many points on the board as they could, and they did. They scored 70 points in this one, Scott. The first half was a monster. 21 points in the first quarter, 28 points in the second quarter, and they really took ULM behind the woodshed. Does this prove anything? Like, if you're a voter now, an AP voter, do you look at Louisiana as like, oh, wow, they put 70 points on the worst team in college football. We should rank them now. Or do you just look at this as beating up on little brother a little bit?
I think that it at least means something because if you do the opposite and you beat ULM by 14 points maybe, it looks bad. It actually looks bad on you to do that. For Louisiana to come out here, drop 70 on your rival on a team that you're supposed to blow out, it's still a close series. I was arguing with somebody. It's still a close series. And let me sidetrack. Let me go somewhere else right quick. This game was decided by a total of 4 points the last 2 years, and ULM won 3 years ago. I was telling somebody, if you don't want this to be a rivalry, do this for the next 3 years. This looks like a one-off thing where Louisiana is at its absolute highest point in its history, and ULM is at its absolute lowest. So no, don't call this not a rivalry because of this one game. You almost lost last year when you really shouldn't have, Louisiana. It's a rivalry.
Okay,
Anyway.
don't call it a comeback.
Anyway, this was exactly what it should have been. A very efficient beatdown too. If you look at the box score, nobody's winning the Heisman Award based off of this game. Nobody's winning the Sun Belt Pages Player of the Year based off of this game right here. I mean, Levi Lewis had 147 passing yards. There wasn't a single player over 100 rushing yards. Nothing crazy happened in this game on the box score. It was just everybody got involved. The defense got involved, scoring defensive touchdowns. This was just a beatdown.
Yeah, there was no Tyreek Hill performance out of any Louisiana wide receiver. ULM, season's been over since August. This has to be
the UTEP loss, I would say.
Huh?
Since they lost to UTEP, that's kind of when it was over.
Yeah. What do if you're ULM? You're the worst team in college football this year. Do you just take your crown and go home? How do you get out of this? UTEP already canceled their season. They said, we're done. We've played enough games. We want no part.
If you're ULM, yeah, I have no idea. I mean, you go home, you run it back next year. I fire the coach. I don't care what kind of financial situation you're in. I rally up the support in the area. I do your damnedest. I mean, you're an athletic director. You don't go, oh, well, we're not getting any money. Nobody gives us anything. We'll just sit with the coach another year. We'll get worse and worse and worse until they finally force us out of this league. No, you go and rally the dadgum troops. Go around Monroe, find the richest people you can find and say, hey, we need a new coach. Give us the money. This man's buyout is minuscule. It is so tiny. Matt Viators, his buyout is nothing. Fire him and get somebody else.
Scott, is this you saying that you could be the head coach at ULM? What would you tell the athletic director?
I would not lose by 50 to Louisiana. I would copy and paste my NCAA 14 playbook, bring it to Monroe, and we would not lose by 50 points.
You heard it here first, folks. Scott, a front runner for that ULM job. All right, let's talk South Alabama versus the most disappointing team in college football. Most disappointing team in the Sun Belt, at least, is Arkansas State. Oh, so much promise the Red Wolves had at the beginning of the season, Scott, only to fall to South Alabama, 38-21 in this one. It's not a rivalry game. South Alabama hasn't been great this year. This was Arkansas State's last chance to get a good win, a decent win, and they kind of let it go, I thought. Arkansas State loses to South Alabama. This was the last chance they could get a legitimate win this season. What were your takeaways from this game?
Whose last chance to get a legitimate win this season?
I think Arkansas State's.
Possibly. I haven't looked forward. Well, Arkansas State plays ULM this week.
That's what I'm saying. They don't play any other good teams.
It's not legitimate if you beat ULM is what you're saying. It's not real. It doesn't exist. It's somewhere in its own universe. Never happened.
Come on. You gotta give me that one. That you beat ULM, the worst team in college football, and you go off into the sunset, you feel good about the season, going 2-8 in the conference? Come on.
In Arkansas State's position, yes, I can agree with you. Especially if, you don't win this game like you should, if you don't beat them down. If you play anywhere near to the level of ULM, it's an embarrassment. Blake Anderson, see you later. South Alabama, I thought they played a good game. They played very well on offense. Jalen Tolbert had 252 receiving yards, 3 touchdowns. This man went bonkers last year against Arkansas State. I went and looked it up. Only one player has more career receiving yards against Arkansas State than Jalen Tolbert does. It's freaking T.Y. Hilton. That's the only player that's done better against Arkansas State than Jalen Tolbert. So,
I was looking at this. There was only one team this week that won their game and didn't score in the third quarter, and it was Georgia State. South Alabama putting up those 14 points in the third quarter really was the deciding factor in this one. And it goes back to Arkansas State. The defense really hasn't been there all year. The offense has been middle of the road. You put up 31 against South Alabama. I'm expecting more from you. I just am. I don't know if that's bias or if it's just history or what I'm going off of here, but I expected more out of Arkansas State.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they do things right. They don't do enough things right. They don't do nearly enough things right. I think they got a huge piece in Justin Rice at middle linebacker, possibly defensive player of the year this year, and was huge in this game. It had 2.5 tackles for loss. South Alabama had 99 rushing yards, and they tried to run. They ran the ball 47 times. It was just they couldn't defend the pass to save their life, and that was the issue there.
All right, let's move on to Appalachian State versus your Troy Trojans. Zach Thomas looked great in this one. 279 yards passing, 22 of 29, 4 TDs. Is Zach Thomas back? Like, this looked like vintage Zach Thomas. This looked like the best quarterback in the Sun Belt Conference.
I think Zach Thomas has been back for a little bit now. Scary moment where we thought a couple weeks ago he was done for the year. I mean, there's no way this guy could come back. He's taken off a stretcher, put in an ambulance, and sent to the hospital. There's no way he comes back that week. And he's been great. He's been great for a few weeks now. I'm trying to take a look at this. Coastal Carolina was the week that he came back. He was terrible. That was but that's the Coastal Carolina game. I think Coastal's going to make just about anybody look terrible. But yeah, he's been solid. After his really, really rough start, he's had 3 games where he's completed at least 72% of his passes in the back half of the season. He had 4 touchdowns in this last game. He's up to 17 on the year. I would say that Zach Thomas is back to leading the App State Mountaineers the way that he should. He's not playing nearly as bad as he was at the beginning of the year, where he just wasn't doing anything extra to help out his team. Against Marshall, that was a rough game. They forced him to do some things that he just, for whatever reason, as a senior, just didn't feel comfortable doing. He's now comfortable doing that at this stage of the season, as you saw against Troy.
Now, what do you see out of Troy? Because that's your team. Those are your guys. You got to see something good out of this game, right?
Not really. No, there's absolutely nothing that you can take away from this game and say, you know what, this is good. This is something you can build off of. The only thing that Troy has right now is anyway.
Scott, there has to be something out of this Troy game that you liked. Is there anything?
Nothing. There's nothing out of this game that I liked. This was a beatdown start to finish. App State scored 28 points in the first 15 minutes and 6 seconds of this game. It was very bad. It was disgusting. It was terrible. The only thing that you could really take out of this and say, this is a moment, this is a chance. Last year, Troy got beat down in his last 2 games against App State and Louisiana. I would hate for any team to have to play those 2 to end the season. But that's what happened to Troy, and it was disgusting. It was murder, back-to-back. It was a double homicide. It was disgusting. It was awful. This is a chance for Troy to finally say, hey, we can put the train back on the tracks. Chip Lynch is a second-year head coach. He's got a much healthier team this year than he did last year. This is an opportunity. And you've got South Alabama. You've got a team that is probably exactly on your level. Same level, same talent, same everything. You got an opportunity to turn around and beat this team, try not to die completely against Coastal Carolina, and finish with a win against ULM.
Illegitimate win, but a win nonetheless. All right, you mentioned that Coastal's defense makes every quarterback look bad, and I hate to disagree there, Scott, but Brady McBride, 20 of 26, 202 yards, and a TD. Come on, you got to love that.
Yeah, probably one of Brady's best performances. Did it in a loss. We haven't gotten to a Coastal Carolina, Texas State just
yet.
are.
That's the segue.
That's the segue.
To the 49-14 beatdown of my Bobcats. Look, you said last week that the worst thing to happen in the Sun Belt Conference would be if Texas State found a way to upset Coastal Carolina. They did.
Yeah.
It was close for a quarter. It was 14-7 going into the second quarter, and then Coastal just let the dogs loose. 21 points in the second quarter, and then 14 in the second half, and it was just off and away from there. And Coastal never looked back, and the running game was incredible. They rushed for, I think, over 200-something yards. 400 yards on the ground. Coastal had rushing. Texas State defense, kind of what you expect. I don't know. I wasn't super mad. I was disappointed that the Bobcats lost. They tacked on that touchdown to end the game just to make us all feel a little bit better. I feel fine coming out of this one, Scott. I think there's a lot that Bobcats, the only team to go 12-0 or play 12 games this season, a lot to grow on. I'm happy. I'm happy with my Bobcats.
Yeah, if anything, I would be super frustrated as a Bobcat fan that Brady McBride. I mean, this is something that you can take into next year, I guess. But when you go, oh hey, our quarterback that we banked everything on in August is finally clicking. Last 2 weeks of the season, has his best game of the year against Coastal Carolina, against Arkansas State. Takes a win. Plays very well against Coastal, as you mentioned. That is probably the best quarterback performance against Coastal all year long. And that's the last 2 weeks of the game. You don't have anything to show. You can't continue it. You can't build off of it. You got to go into the offseason and hope you can carry that fire into next season.
Listen, you negative Nancy. We didn't have a solid fall or spring or whatever, summer practice because of COVID. He missed a couple games because of COVID. This is what I expect. I am fine with this. Look, our fans happy, our Texas State fans happy that in Spav's second year, they're 2-10. No. But I will say this. I see a lot more of Coastal Carolina in Texas State than I see ULM. Put it that way. I see a lot more of Bobcats' growth in the next year than I do in regression like ULM. I think we are going to be closer to Troy next year in our proverbial rankings than we are to a team like Arkansas State or ULM. That's why I'm happy.
Well, certainly the trajectories are different for Texas State and ULM. ULM is crashing and burning to a depth that very few college football teams have seen. And it's not pretty. It's so bad. And I don't think you would ever even want to try and compare, and say, oh, hey, we're going to be closer to the top than to ULM. Anybody is closer to the top than ULM. Honestly, ULM is so bad. I wish that UMass had played an entire season so that we could compare the two. UMass scored 1 touchdown in 4 games, playing like some of the best G5 teams out there. But ULM is so terrible this year. Don't bring up there. Don't say, well, we're better than ULM. We're closer to Coastal than ULM.
I'm just saying that, God willing, pandemic ends. Next year when you go to media day and you're talking to Coach Spav, that it will be hey, can the Bobcats be the sneaky black horse team in the West? Not, hey, is every team going to run through Texas State?
The team you should be comparing yourself to, the team that you should be racing against if you're a Texas State fan right now is South Alabama, because that's another team that is moving in the upward direction, and they are ahead of you right now. They're doing better than you. They're finding ways to win.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. That's fair. I like it. All right, let's move on to this coming week. We have the game of the week. Actually, we've got 2 excellent games, so much so that I'm putting them both on the marquee. They're both marquee games, Scott. Friday, 6 p.m., ESPN2, Louisiana App State. Saturday, 1. I don't know where they're going to put this game. They got to put this game on national TV. Liberty and Coastal Carolina. And this is where we do our Coastal Carolina versus other G5 teams. This is where I want to do this. Coastal Carolina is now ranked 20th. We're going to get the new ratings, I think, tomorrow, the new college football rankings. They're 20, okay? Liberty is not ranked at 9-1, and BYU is at 9 in a lot of people's projected rankings, having played, honestly, no one. They have not played a better team than Coastal has faced this year. I want to bring this up because Liberty will not be ranked. Coastal will probably be 17-ish, and Louisiana might get ranked. I am so mad right now that BYU is getting this, bumped up in the rankings just because of name recognition. It's like being I don't even know what to compare BYU to. It just bothers me so much that they are a group of 5 team masquerading as a Power 5 team. And they're getting this bump in the rankings just because they are BYU. It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I could definitely see where you're coming from. I think that style points have played a huge factor with BYU. I think part of that is beating Boise State 51-17. That's huge. It doesn't matter how good Boise State is. that's name recognition. You beat name recognition 51-17. You beat a mid-tier American Conference team in Houston 43-26, mid to low tier, honestly. But it's just beating everybody down into the ground and, not giving anyone even the chance outside of UTSA and just destroying everyone. That's the biggest difference. I think if Coastal Carolina is beating everybody by 30 points a game, they're going to be higher than 20th in that initial ranking. Now, is Coastal Carolina's schedule better than BYU's? Yes. In every way, it is better than BYU's. They've played better football teams. I mean, they've beaten – Kansas doesn't mean anything. Kansas means nothing. They've beaten Louisiana and they've beaten App State. Those two teams are better than any team right now on this BYU schedule, and that includes Boise State. That includes Houston.
I get so frustrated with it. Also, it's to mention Liberty 9-1. They might not get a bowl game. They have no tie-in bowl. They're not in a conference that has tie-in bowls. Scott, if this team ends up being 11-1 or 10-2, I would be very mad as a Liberty fan not to go to a bowl game because Liberty has played better than I would say about 70% of the Power 5 teams that have played games this year. I think Liberty would beat Nebraska.
If for whatever reason I was a Liberty fan, I would be upset, honestly. I would. I hate Liberty, though, so I'm not upset at all. But if I'm the Liberty AD, there are a lot of teams out there that are probably pretty okay with playing one more game. I'm going to say, hey, if you come to our house, we'll give you some money. We'll play a little exhibition game for our fans, and maybe we can get it on TV, put it on a day where there's not a lot of bowl games. That's what I would do. I would try to find another football game. Just have something for your players. It's not like any of them are leaving if they don't want to. But I get what you're saying. It is tough, but also I don't care.
Well, that's something we can discuss on another podcast about the players who are potentially staying. All right, let's talk about Friday's game, Louisiana App State. This is a game that two juggernauts. This is a preview or a preseason, what we thought was going to be a preview of the Sun Belt Conference Championship game. Clearly, Coastal – dark horse, ran away with this conference. We feel very good about Coastal right now. But what do we expect out of Louisiana and App State in this one?
This is going to be fun. I think App State, they kind of got their tune-up game. I think that's bad for Louisiana. I think Louisiana kind of had their tune-up game. That's bad for App State. Both teams are on fire right now. They got to play two bottom-tier teams. And they
don't say that about your Troy Trojans. That hurts.
Yeah, it does. But they played like they were playing against two bottom-tier teams in the Sun Belt. They're on a roll. They're both doing really well. This is like two trains heading at top speed into each other. Whoever survives wins the game. This will be huge. Louisiana absolutely needs the win if they're going to stay in the top 25. The Sun Belt, I think if you are interested in keeping two Sun Belt teams ranked, you're probably going to want Louisiana to win this game. I don't think App State wins and peeps themselves into the top 25 either. But regardless of all that, I'm just looking forward to a good game. I want it to be a close game. I want there to be scoring though. I'm not looking for like a 21-17 type game. I need somebody to hit like 30 points in this one.
I like it. All right, let's talk Liberty and Coastal. Liberty, probably the toughest team or one of the tougher teams Coastal's faced. Add insult to injury, it's a non-conference game. So even if you lose – well, I guess if you lose this one, you still feel fine because you're still undefeated against the Sun Belt Conference. But if you lose this one, Scott, it's going to drop you in the rankings. You're probably going to fall out of the top 25, and you're probably not going to sniff your way back in if you're Coastal. Maybe some backdoor stuff, but I don't think that they get back in the top 25 if they lose to Liberty this week. So it's a very big prove-it game. Luckily enough, it's a home game. So that adds a little bit maybe?
Yeah, they would fall out of the college football playoff top 25 for sure. I think they're still ranked in the AP poll if they lose this game. Over the years, we've seen Sun Belt coaches constantly talk about conference games. That's the only thing that matters, winning a conference championship. That is it. I think it's a little different right now. I think it's a little bit different. I don't think Cincinnati drops all that much if they lose to Tulsa. I don't know who they would play in the American Conference Championship game. If they lost that one, if Cincinnati loses 2 in a row and Coastal beats Liberty, beats Louisiana, and ranks Louisiana team, guess who's in the NY6? It's Coastal Carolina.
All right. That's what we love to see. I don't know about that. That's a lot. You're asking for a lot of things to fall the right way.
Who is ahead? Who is NY6 going to take BYU?
Yes.
Yes.
I
Okay.
think so.
In that at-large spot, okay, then you need BYU to lose as well. But I don't know. I mean, if you're the college football playoff and Coastal Carolina beats, Louisiana in the year and Liberty, I think that's impressive enough to move them up. If this was the AP poll, it would be simple. It would be Coastal Carolina, I think. But
this is what I've been saying forever, Scott, is we need to go back down to the computers. The computers got it right most of the time. They just didn't get the top 4 right. They would get the top 4 right. They just wouldn't get the top 2 right. Give me the computers with the system we have now, and we're set. But right now, you're gonna end up with BYU in a New Year's Six bowl just off name and Zach Wilson. That guy is electric. He's gonna get them in there.
I'm not convinced. I'll have to look it up because BYU's not even going to be not going to be that many games deep into the season by the time they're done. I think they'll have 9 or 10 games in. Maybe at most, maybe 8 games. So I don't know if you take BYU. And the computers should be used. Honestly, they should be. I think the BCS system has Coastal Carolina number 14 right now. That's a huge difference from the college football playoff.
Huge difference. All right, I like Coastal in this one. What do you feel?
I like Coastal. I have to take Coastal. There's no reason I'm even going to sort of lean towards Liberty. Go Shots. Go Big Teal Cox.
Love it. All right. Troy and South Alabama. Bottom feeder Troy, according to Scott, versus South Alabama, a team pretty close to Texas State. How do you feel in this one?
Nervous a little bit. You got to find a way to control that South Alabama offense, which is on a roll right now, especially the air attack. And that's the part of the defense that Troy's struggling right now. They played without one of their top corners last week. I don't know if he'll be out again this week. But this is going to be big. You need the offense to show up. If you're looking at a shootout, you absolutely got to have the offense come back out for this game. The offense has been MIA for a month now. You've got to score some points to win this game.
All right. I think I have nothing to add to that. I think Troy has an okay defense. South Alabama, though, you got to win some games here. This would be a really good one to win. Arkansas State, ULM. ULM, worst team in college football. Arkansas State, most disappointing team in the conference. It's an unmovable object versus, an unstoppable force between these two. So how do you expect this to play out?
Who's free falling the hardest? That's basically what this game is about. Who's falling faster? Arkansas State, I think, has lost 5 in a row. They're 3-7. They were 3-2 in this skid plot when this skid started. It's not pretty. I think that this is a good rallying point, though. I think that you can get in the film room and you can say, okay, we actually did pretty well on offense in this last game. If we do this on Saturday again, this game isn't going to be a problem. I think we can, with the defense that you played, even against South Alabama, that defense is good enough for ULM. Absolutely. You can win this game by 30 points by playing the exact same way you played against South Alabama.
Let's see. This could be the game that gets ULM's coach fired. This could be it. So who knows?
This could be the game that gets Arkansas State's coach fired. If you lose to ULM,
that sucks because, like I said, Anderson was my pick before the season to not only have a good year. I thought Arkansas State was going to have a very good season, but also I thought he was going to be the next Power 5 coach. You lose this one to ULM, I don't think you get another head coaching job. You know what I mean? Like, seriously, I just don't – I don't see somebody getting fired from Arkansas State and having, I don't know, let's say Nebraska hiring you. You know what I mean? Like, it's just not how this works. Also, I brought up Nebraska twice in this one. Nebraska should be the next team we consider to join the Sun Belt Conference. I think that we've had enough. I think they're a very competitive – they're on the same competitive mark of a Sun Belt team. I think that they should easily get in. We can move ULM out. We can get Nebraska to join our little conference. And then Texas State will have a closer companion. We're the furthest west. I think Lincoln's just a little bit further west than we are.
Awfully further north. I mean, I don't know if it's any closer than anybody else, but yeah, it's out west, I guess, if we're looking at a map. It's not much closer. Yeah, I mean, sure. Let's take Nebraska. I'm fine with taking Nebraska. They're pretty even with the mid to top tier of the Sun Belt. They
South Alabama. They'd
probably
be
slide
competitive
in
with South
around
Alabama.
4. I mean, if we're gonna move Nebraska into our power rankings, they're probably gonna be 4th place on mine. So I think it fits. I think it helps. It boosts the Sun Belt a little bit. Maybe get some more attention. Maybe put them officially on the level of like the American Conference, the Mountain West. I think that would definitely help out the Sun Belt.
I'm just
Come on,
saying,
Nebraska.
Call me, Nebraska. Let's see what happens. All right, Florida Atlantic, Georgia Southern. Georgia Southern coming off a bad game. Couple guys in the Hooskow. What do we expect from this one?
I expect Florida Atlantic to kind of win. I actually think Florida Atlantic is going to win this one. They've played a very short season. They've had to deal with cancellations and postponements a lot this year, but they've done well in their games. They actually beat UTSA 24-3. UTSA is having a very strong year. They are. UTSA is the only team to play BYU within a touchdown. UTSA has done very well. I believe Texas San Antonio is playing in their conference championship game. They beat your Texas State Bobcats. They didn't even lose to Marshall all that bad. Florida Atlantic did. So this is a game where if Georgia Southern doesn't show up on offense, it's over.
I mean, there's no Bobcat game this week, so this is probably the game I end up watching on ESPN Plus. I thought ESPN Plus has been pretty good. People were complaining about this last weekend because of the scoreboard, but I think that it's been pretty solid the entire year.
Okay. I haven't watched much ESPN Plus because I don't know why. I just tune in. I swap in between ESPN 3, ESPN Plus, and we're on national TV every week. So why do I care?
Yeah,
we're on the big TV screen.
Oh, we need to get that Liberty Coastal game on national TV. I don't know who we need to talk to. It's not ranked right now, but it's in that 1 p.m. time slot. ESPN 2, ESPN News. Come on, somebody pick us up. That'd be
on FBS schedules. It shows up as on ESPNU, which is national TV.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't have it on my scoreboard, I guess. I guess I'm off. All right. I think we need to tease. This is where we tease the rankings that we're going to do at the end of the year. We're going to do the awards. Scott, me, a bunch of other people, I guess, going to do the awards. It's going to be fun, Scott. I'm excited for it.
Absolutely. We got to figure out how we're going to do it. Maybe we can make it a video thing. Maybe not. We'll put all the finalists. I want to come up with finalists and stuff, and we'll throw them on Twitter. We'll have our main man, Zach, make some graphics for that. And, we'll do some awards. I want to do some awards. I want attention. I just want attention. This is not for the players. This is not for the coach. This is for us.
This will be great because, it'll give us a little bit more spotlight. I want to thank the people who have watched us all season because it's been a fun season so far. We have a couple more games. Hopefully COVID doesn't knock us all out, but it's a big week this week, Scott.
Absolutely. It's a big week every week, it feels like.
All right, well, when we talk to you next week, we'll be talking about how Coastal Carolina shocked the world and beat the brakes off Liberty and how Zach Thomas might be the best quarterback in the conference, ? I'll see you next week, Scott.
See ya.